we have quite a bit to cover, so let's just jump right into it. And first one is about the town meeting, the finance committee and the warrant articles. Mike may not be able to join us this evening. He's got some personal business that he's got to take care of, but we still have we're still covered. There was a glitch somewhere in the system. I had sent the warrant article requests to the interim town manager back in early February, and we kind of fell through the cracks. So Mike notified me the other day that our warrant article request did not appear on the warrant. So I went and talked with Denise and Susan Brower at the town hall last week. And because we had sent them in to the town manager, the acting town manager, well before the deadline, that they were able to reopen the warrant, and we have been included. And we have been invited to appear before the finance committee Wednesday evening at 7. So I plan on being there, and Mike has also said that he would try and attend, but that there may be some conflict there, but we are on the warrant. And I've got to defend what we're asking for. We asked for $10,000 for our water quality sampling for the year, which is a pretty significant increase over the FY25 ask. And I'm already getting some pushback from, hi, Laurie.
Hi.
Already getting some pushback from Finance Committee on that increase. And our request last year really was just throwing darts. Had no idea what our total spend on water quality sampling would be. And plus we had wound up responding to a cyanobacteria bloom when they shut down the beach, and we had to respond to that. So that took a lot of the funding away from that. One of the articles is strictly for the cyanobacteria protocol, and that's actually a little later down in the process. And the third thing that we asked for was the funding to do the benthic mapping, to get them in there with the cameras and look. I feel very strongly about all three of our budget asks. And again, the meeting is going to be in the little town hall upstairs on Wednesday at 7. And if any of you guys can show up and lend support and help me push for this, it would be greatly appreciated. If you can't make it, it is what it is. But that just to let you know where we stand on that. Comments, questions? Okay.
I'll try to be there, but it gets challenging for me to leave here. But yes, I'll try.
Yeah, I said
what do you intend to present to them?
I plan on just basically answering any questions they have. Primarily is, why are we asking for so much more money this year than we did last year? And I will explain exactly what I just laid out here. I have all of the 2025 results readily available. I can show them, all the sampling that we did, the response to the cyanobacteria bloom. So we have documentation to defend everything that we're asking for.
Okay.
Any helpful hints?
I'm wondering if we want, I think that's all very good to have, but I think we also need to remind them that we're there to protect the people who use the water, and especially the camp. And so it may feel like extra money in an outlay, but we have this algae issue with that we didn't have before, and we've looked into it closely. And that can have a real impact on the income of the camp. So spending a little here may protect that, and it may be a wash, or it may even be to our benefit to keep water really usable by the camp.
Oh, I think that's a really strong trump card that we have. And the fact that we've got Board of Health and RecCom buy-in into the cyanobacteria protocol.
Yeah.
So those are all arrows in the quiver that we can use to defend why we're asking for this.
I can't remember if it's been decided who's going to pay for that testing, because I know there was some hope that think the Board of Health maybe was going to do it.
There was some back and forth about that, and I don't think there has been any decisions on that. I've been in contact with Matt Rollins from the Board of Health, trying to get a table read through the entire protocol step by step by step, and who's going to do what and when and where. And there hasn't been any decisions on who's going to pay for it, which is why I submitted the budget request for it, just to get it in there. And,
so that could be another thing that gets said. It is, sometimes you go to town meeting and you end up asking in the motion for less than you asked for in the warrant. And that is very often the type of reason that there might be. And so it could be that between now and then it's decided and the Board of Health takes it up, and in the final motion, we ask for something different and less.
Well, Laura Hebb, the last time we met with the Board of Health, they wanted to actually bump the amount that we're asking for the cyanobacteria protocol by another $1,000, just to add a little more cushion to it. I have not addressed that, and I'm not going to touch that until, possibly after Wednesday's meeting. And if we get some decisions from Board of Health and RecCom, who's actually paying for that aspect of it, then that department can go ask for the increase for the warrant article.
Would it be helpful to have somebody from the RecCom and Board of Health there tomorrow night? I mean, Wednesday night?
It probably couldn't hurt. I don't know who actually has been invited to the Finance Committee meeting, because they're going to be talking budgets. But I think, because they go from 7 to 8, and I don't know when they're going to get to us. So, anything we can bring to the table to help our cause is going to be a good thing.
What I know about the RecCom is I think Rick usually handles budget things, but Chris being the science person, either of them would probably be helpful.
Chris lives right up the street, so if he's home, he'd probably be, I mean, he lives like a block away, so he just walks down the hill.
Oh, Chris, right, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
so if he's available and not busy, he might be open to coming down.
I'll shoot him an email after we get off of here and ask if he's available to help bolster some of our arguments.
I wonder if Laura will be there. She sounds like she could bolster her arguments too, and being Board of Health and Select would be, I don't know what she'd do.
Yeah, I don't know if then we start getting into conflict of interest areas, and yeah,
Right.
I want to avoid those entanglements.
Right.
Uh,
I have a competing
The
meeting.
article itself is intended to pay for the full cost of the protocol.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm not, at this point, it's probably maybe too late for either the Board of Health or the Recreation Commission to include additional monies in their budgets for the protocol. I'm assuming they've submitted their budgets. Unfortunately, the agenda for the Finance Committee is not particularly illuminating. It says review, discuss, and vote on line item budget details.
Yeah.
Review, discuss, and vote on warrant articles.
So,
Pretty broad.
But I had the impression that the Board of Health has a comfortable budget already. That they were saying, we'll handle this. I felt like they were saying, we'll handle this, like they had it covered and didn't even have to ask.
and I got that impression also, but the fact that, they did not take over ownership of the protocol and say, let us take care of this from here on. They're still relying very heavily on us.
Okay,
So, at, and because it's a pilot program, and once we go, if we do get a read through, a table read on the entire protocol, we may find that this is best suited for Board of Health, or it's best suited to RecCom. Who's the overall management of it. We can propose it, but I don't think we should be running that entire protocol, because it's benefiting more the Board of Health and the RecCom more than lakes, ponds, and streams. So I have no problem getting it started, but then, handing it off to a more responsible entity would be ideal.
I think you make a good point, because it is benefiting them, and we're actually doing the work. So should we do the work and pay for it to benefit them? That seems like a lot.
Yeah, that's where I think ownership needs to be transferred, probably equally between RecCom and Board of Health. But if we didn't do the work that we've done so far, they'd still be shutting it down at the first sign of an algae bloom.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to prevent. So we're trying to benefit, both the RecCom and the Board of Health. That's where that's my 2 cents worth.
I wonder if Maria might be also another possible person to come if she were free.
She's pretty, she has a baby or very small toddler at home, so I think evenings are hard for her. So, but I think Chris is your best bet, and he could speak well.
Yeah, I don't think there's any harm in us taking responsibility for the pilot year.
That is my thinking.
Yeah, so at this point, since we've not reached an agreement with the board of either of the organizations, I would just take ownership of it in terms of presenting to the finance committee and just saying that it's a pilot, and if it works, we'll worry about how it gets financed in the future and funded in the future.
Yeah, that's down the road. We just got to get the program off the ground.
And,
Yes.
and I did see that Steve had also asked about building in a fixed amount. And I can tell you that the warrant article we wrote for last year is, it didn't strike me as being a fixed $7,500, but
No.
maybe he can explain to us how it was supposed to work.
When I talked with the former town manager about making that an annual appropriation, that was not warmly received at all. That idea was not warmly received at all. So that died on the vine.
Well, I think Steve thinks, and that was my understanding, was that $7,500 warrant article was intended to create a annual appropriation.
Yeah. And that was my thinking out of the gates. But again, Joe Layden just absolutely wanted nothing to do with that.
Okay.
So maybe the new town manager, maybe Kate will be more open to something moving forward. But Kristen.
Sorry.
Thank you. But we got to get into the fiscal year before, and start working on next year earlier. Okay. Any other comments, questions on the warrant articles and finance committee?
The only other thing I want to say is that we're making a meeting with the new town manager, Sustainable Upton, co-administrators are doing that. And Lakes, Ponds, and Streams was one of the things that came out of that. So when we tell her the background of Sustainable Upton, so she'll know who we are and what we do, this will come up. And so I will tell her then about all the different, about the regular testing and what we do, and also about what's happened around allergy and protocol and meeting with the other two boards, so she can have a little bit of background on that. We'd hope to do it tomorrow, but I haven't heard back. I wrote through the town portal instead of direct email, and I've never had very much success with that, so I have a feeling she didn't get it. So I will, in the next day or so, we'll try and establish that meeting, and she'll certainly have information, not before Wednesday, but she'll have it before town meeting.
Okay, and if you'd like me to attend that meeting with, to help make the pitch for lakes, ponds, and streams, I'll be more than happy to try and fit that into my calendar.
All right, there's been other people who wanted to do that too, and I think we decided just to do a general overview first. We don't want to scare her.
Sure. Yeah, you
Right, we're
you
trying to,
get too many chefs in the
Yeah.
kitchen, things get messy in a
Right.
hurry. Okay, did everyone receive the copies of the calendar year 26 water quality sampling schedule that I put together? I sent that out late last week or early, no, it can't be early this week, it's Monday. I'm pretty sure I sent that out last week. And if you look at the schedule, it covers from April of this year through June of next year. We're actually and basing it on getting the $10,000 for water quality sampling, giving up some sampling in this year so that we have money that carries over for April, May, and June of next year. Before the next budget cycle kicks in, so that we're not losing 3 months like we did last year. I still have samples sitting down in my basement right now of water quality samples that we were not able to process because we ran out of funds so quickly. So what I did is I spread it out over a longer period of time to account for that gap. And if anybody needs another copy of it, just let me know and I can send it out again.
so if I understand correctly, what we asked for last time did not, so as Bill was saying, 7,500, and you were saying it was just an attempt to throw numbers out there, hoping for the
Correct.
best, but we didn't really have background for it, and now we do, and so that's why we're asking for more,
Yes,
plus the algae.
yes. And we spent $700 out of our $7,500. That's almost 10% of what we asked for, just on getting same-day results from one algae bloom. And if it happens more than once, we just don't have the money to cover it. That's where the cyanobacteria protocol being funded separately, frees us from that.
All good, really good points, really strong points. I don't see how they can turn it down. It's safe.
They're finance people. They can say saying no is easy.
Probably pool people.
Okay. The Taft and Mill Pond Management Plan, we just had another extension to the contract, another 90-day extension to the contract let. And I got an email from Anna Chase this afternoon. Did Mike send everybody his rough comments?
Yeah.
They want to have our comments and anything back to them by Friday. So if you have any comments that you want to make or any questions that you might have, please get them into me by Thursday, because by Friday I plan on sending them up to Anna so that TRC can get on with what they need to do. We've already bumped the contract 3 months once, and I'm not going to entertain another extension because we haven't got comments into them. So if you had, please take some time, and if you have any comments, questions, please get them into me by Thursday. I know it
So
doesn't. Go ahead.
these grids that are in the Word documents that you sent out, who wrote those comments?
I wrote some of them basically, you know, they were, it was on the form that was provided by TRC, and Mike, I don't know how he put his comments together.
But you don't have them yet?
Oh, I have Mike's, yeah. I have Mike's and I
Mhm.
also have mine.
Okay.
So you know, right now it's awfully hard to go through all of the drafts that TRC sent out and try and plow through all that and find, you know, the typos and the questions that you just we don't have answers for yet. Um, but you know, we need to get that back to them.
It felt like we made comments quite some time ago, but they weren't in any kind of form like that.
Yeah, and surprise. This is actually the second time I've had to send them to them because I sent them originally up to you know, my comments, and they had a couple of things wrong on their maps, and I sent them back to her back in October, and they vanished somewhere, quote unquote. So I wound up I'm having to send them to her again, and we just never got the other formal comments back to her. So they're kind of still waiting on that.
So we're not recording this, are we? Is anybody taking notes?
Oh, it's being recorded.
Oh, good, okay.
It is
Great.
being recorded, yes.
Sometimes when that happens, you get a little thing on your thing telling it's being recorded. Somehow I didn't get it. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm also taking notes.
Oh, thank
Okay.
you. Okay. Circling back to the cyanobacteria, we're on agenda item number 4. And again, I'll reiterate this. We don't have to spend a whole lot of time on this, that I did ask for the table read, and Matt Rollins from the Board of Health has been trying to put that together, but they've been kind of swamped. Surprise, surprise, surprise. The Worcester Cyanobacteria Monitoring Coalition, they're supposed to be putting on a training event later sometime this month to provide training on how they do their water quality sampling and their analysis. As soon as I have any information on that, I will be more than happy to forward it to everybody in case you want to sit in on that. We're also starting to get a lot of traffic from the Southeastern Management. I can't think of the name of their acronym on stormwater management. And as those have been coming in, I've also been forwarding them to everybody. And I'd also like to start. Hopefully, we've got enough cushion in the budget that we could be doing some grab sampling for stormwater management, because yeah, we know what's in the water now. We've got 3 years worth of data to go on it. But when we have storm events, we don't know what's getting washed into the pond. And I think that would be an interesting thing to look at. I know Sally's probably going,
Yeah, no, I'm really interested, and I'm interested in that training too. I definitely, when you get a date or time on that, I'll try to be there.
sure. Okay. It looks like we have lost Killian, and I wanted to, the next item is on continuing the internship moving forward. And I kind of wanted to get some feedback from the other committee members and see if are we seeing as a committee any value in sponsoring an intern? I have my own, my own misgivings about the program, and I wanted to see if any of you others had any comments or thoughts on that.
Well, I think you've worked most closely with him around testing and that sort of thing.
Yes.
The only thing I've seen is that research project. I had thought he'd link with you, Bill, but I don't think that ever happened. And he did whatever research he did, and it all ended up falling kind of on you, Dave. So
Mhm.
recently, in the last few weeks, I began to get things and have a sense of it, and tried to get some information from the Historic Society from Larry, who's kind of been working on it. So hoping there'll be a little bit more to make it more accurate and a little more depth about it. So I have found out actually from the person who initiated the request that he had been in touch with DPW last year, and so he knows something about the drawdown there. And so if it and I think John Johnson did it, who's now retired, so I don't think it's happened this year, because I saw that man last week and he told me that the water level is still low and he still has 10 feet more of beach than he usually has at this time of year. So I think what happens is there's boards that get put down and that stops the dam and the
Yeah,
water
no, we
fills
had
the
a
pond.
discussion about that at the DPW. And I'll be going out there with the current superintendent. I think well, we'll find out. I think it's more likely that there's just less water coming into the pond.
That there's less water coming into the pond?
Yep.
Okay, but so what he explained to me is there's these boards and they pull the boards up and the water goes over the dam and the water level goes down, and they do that for the winter. So I thought, don't know a lot much about this, but I thought to myself, is that what they used to do for weed control? Because that was a dam that you could draw down and maybe it killed the weeds, and we did not used to use chemicals there, and now I guess we do. Although the people last year said it was looking really good, so maybe they would look at it and decide we didn't. I don't know. Especially since we had such a cold winter, the weeds probably did get killed if there was a drawdown there. But I don't know for sure. Is that the reason there's been a drawdown on that pond, Bill?
I have no idea why there was a drawdown. I'm not aware of any effort to control the weeds by doing a drawdown.
Do you know
We
why
haven't, we've been
do you know
treating.
why they had those boards and made the
My
water
guess
draw
is
down?
that they were trying to, if they were drawing the water down during the winter, they were just trying to prevent flooding or water rising up into people's properties.
Okay.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
I know they do a drawdown here on Pratt, but honest to God, the difference between winter pool here on Pratt and summer pool is probably 8 to 10 inches of water, which, is really not a lot. And I don't know that Pratt could be drawn down any further because of the way the dam is constructed. And the first time I ever saw Pratt was this winter, the same day that Mike and I went out onto Goss Pond and grabbed a water sample. I had never seen the pond before. I haven't seen the dam. Killian has gone out there, but I personally have not seen it, so I couldn't tell you what normal pool for Taft Pond is either. So these are, more things to learn. Exciting stuff.
So in terms of the internship, Dave, I think we need to hear from you what exactly he did that we don't really know.
Um, the in the email that I sent to you when we were talking about this, he's and I keep having to kick myself in the head and tell myself he's a 17-year-old kid. He's a 17-year-old kid. He's a 17-year-old kid. He's not much of a self-starter, and I don't want to sound like I'm being overly critical of him. I'm really not, but it was frustrating dealing with him because on more than one occasion I told him to reach out to Bill, who does some really excellent research, and Bill, some of the stuff you've provided for us, I thank you very much for it. And it took like 3 weeks of me reminding him before he actually reached out to Bill. Now, this was while Dennis was the interim town manager, so I imagine that a lot of stuff that would normally sit on Dennis's desk wound up on Bill's, and doing the research was probably priority number 67, and he's working on article number 3. But getting him to be proactive and reach out to people and make contact with people was very, very difficult. And his work ethic is just do the bare minimum that's expected. Just get the passing grade and go on. And I've been in touch with Tara Bennett and going over this with her, and it's a very cavalier attitude. That's Killian. Well, and from my perspective, I don't know if I'm speaking the same language at 68 that's going to get through to a 17-year-old kid, and try and instill in him some of the, be proactive, reach out to contact people. The worst they can tell you is no. They can kill you, but they can't eat you, that kind of stuff. Trying to get him incentivized to do a little bit more than just the bare minimum, and that's been frustrating for me. And
So,
Sally,
so
I'm sure that you've had
Yes,
goings
I
on
guess
like
my
that.
question for you is, are you asking whether we should be continuing an internship for next year? Is that the question that you have
That's
here? Because
Yeah,
like we
basically.
don't want to just can it just because
Right.
Killian's lack of performance or initiative, I should say. But it might teach us to say, like, these are to put a list of
List.
criteria of what we
Right.
need that student to be, and some type of reporting or checking off along the way that they are meeting those objectives. So right up front, like, you are expected to reply to an email within 48 hours or whatever. Well, these list of things of expectation, and then they can like meet or exceed those goals. And that's part of their assessment that we're asking for. So the person who's signing on to do it will say like, okay, I can do that. I want to do
Yeah.
that, but, or not, right?
They
Because I know
did,
you've given a lot on this, Dave, and you've been
yeah,
trying your best. And
they
well,
did provide us with from the school's perspective, uh, the expectations of the
yeah,
student as far as the participation go, and the expectations for the mentor as for what, was expected of me. And it's been challenging trying to get Killian to meet his expectations. He's supposed to be keeping timesheets of what he's doing as far as this internship. I haven't seen a single one since January, and I've thumped him several times on that, and even pinged on Tara Bennett, who's uh, the intern
yeah,
coordinator, and yeah, she's pinged on him, but still, it's no response. And I also don't want to cut this off at the knees and deny,
yeah,
another potential learning opportunity for someone who wants to do this.
yeah,
Killian has shown a few flashes of that initiative because he reached out to me and asked, when are we going to start sampling again? And he actually went over to Pratt over the weekend and gathered some water samples at the dam. So, there's
On his own.
on his own.
he
On
might
his
have
own.
gotten scared that he's not going to get his passing score.
Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing also, you have to remember, so he's a senior. So, it's
Needs to
crunch
get
time
it.
for him. It's applying for school's time for him possibly. There's two things going on. There's the
You're right.
first semester is as tense as it's ever going to be. And the second semester, you may be coasting a little bit kind of thing. And now he's like a month and a week or two from being done. So he's probably
Yeah,
mentally not even there. And then he's got these courses and teachers he's seeing every single day with requirements that probably going to go to the top of the list for him also. So I can
yeah,
understand that. So I think what you say is true, Sal. We probably have to be better about giving tangible check-ins and that sort of thing. But it seems like what he liked the most is doing the active
The field work.
hands-on field work. So that's
field
good
work.
information. And in
Oh, there
terms
he is.
of the project, here, okay, in terms of the project, we've given him things to do and he's done it. And now I just sent him some things today, new information today. Killian, did you get my email today?
Yeah, I did. Also, sorry I left my iPad died.
Pardon me?
I did. I also just, the reason I left was because my iPad died, so I didn't realize it was that low on battery. That was my
Okay.
bad.
Well, we were just discussing to be perfectly open and honest with you, we were just discussing the internship and trying to, I'm looking for feedback on whether as a committee we want to continue to sponsor an intern. So and
So-
part of it is incumbent upon your performance.
But also, I would put it back at Killian to give us, to tell us, what is it, if we were asking you, Killian, what is it that we could have done or should do to increase your performance or your interest or your need for this internship? So if you were going to recommend this internship to another student, a rising student, how do you think we could do a better job to help raise your interest or your excitement or devotion to the project? Like what could we do better?
I guess
We're
the
adults
only-
here, so we can handle it.
the only like the main thing I could think of would be just like, I guess, like interacting in person more, like
Okay.
meeting up and like actually speaking in person over email, or just like doing more interactive stuff. Because I know it's hard too in the winter, like December through like February or whatever, but I would just say that's probably the only thing I could think of.
Yeah, we
So
just
you
want
like
it.
the hands-on stuff the best, didn't you? Right.
Yeah.
And so you like more of that. Okay. And we also have to have a sense of the things that we need to make sort of a list of what those things are. Some of them will be that, some of them will, I suppose, will be other things. I know meetings aren't the most fun, but that's helpful. Do you think it's good for a senior, or do you think it might be better for a junior in terms of time
Do they
and
even
your
do it with
priority?
juniors? Do they have interns with juniors?
Well, they do like they do one at the end of the year where they go in every day to the internship, so like they spend the full day doing it, but it's only like 2 weeks. I would say for what you guys do, I think it'd work better for seniors, and also because like with junior year, you do a bunch of AP stuff. The only tough part for senior year, I thought, was the like college admissions, like balancing that with it. But I would think like the majority, like if you did the one block thing like I do, I think senior year would be better. Also, people's schedules are usually more open, like they have more open baseball as junior years. They're usually trying to cram APs in.
When did you begin the internship?
The beginning of this school year, September 1st.
Okay, so we had the fall. The winter is a hard time, but
Yep.
we heard you went out the other day and did some sampling. I think it's great that you and are really, you're finding out what you enjoy, and it may have impact for you. And it's helpful
And-
for us.
And he also reached out to me earlier this week, asking, hey, when are we going back out on the field again? So I've been looking at that, and I'm kind of looking at the middle of next week right now, weather permitting. It's not fun out there when the wind is blowing at 30 miles an hour trying to gather samples and data.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And I felt badly. It took me a while to get that feedback to you from Historic Society because I didn't see that email. So I was late getting it to you, and I hope it was not too late for you to be able to spend some time with it. Because they've started now down the Historic Society. So I think if you make contact with them, I think they already have new information for you they could send you. But as you like the in-person thing, the times they're open are in the mornings when you probably couldn't go, but if you make an appointment in the afternoon, they'll go. And I know that you're from Mendon, so are you driving at all?
Yeah.
Great,
And
so then you
his-
may be able to
With
get with
his
them.
block schedule, Lori, sometimes it's early in the morning, sometimes it's mid-morning, sometimes it's like right after lunch, where he's got a block at the end of the day. So if he reaches out to someone at the Historical Society, he can probably find one of those blocks to make an appointment to go over there and actually visit with them.
Yeah,
I think the best time and the best person would be the person that's there Thursday morning, if that should happen to work for you.
let me check my schedule. Sorry, I'm just gonna pull it up on my phone.
That's Larry Doucette, Bill, has been working on this.
Yeah, Larry's a very avid researcher. And yeah, there is some information there. I did do some research, and as far as I can tell, the Taft Pond Dam dates back before Upton was created.
Oh,
They found a map with 1831 that wasn't there, and 1851 it was there.
Yeah, well, there's deeds that date back that far, and other information that dates back that far that suggests that
And it was further. These were
dam-
maps.
that the dam was there when it was still Mendon.
Interesting.
Okay.
So there's
And
another avenue for you.
as with most of the mills in town, it eventually burned down.
What burned down?
The mill that used to be there.
Oh, the mill. Yeah, right. You know, I wonder if by chance he could ever get there at the same time as Larry, could you ever slip over there from DPW? Because maybe a nice conversation with a few people would be helpful. I don't know.
You just let me know when that, and I can get away. There's no doubt about that.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
The other thing is, and I'm not sure, I don't think Larry is participating, but the society is open on the first or second Saturday, which is this upcoming Saturday. Yeah. And
Oh, this Saturday.
yeah, so from 10 to 1. And I'd be happy to meet Cillian if you wanted to, but at that time. But I think you're right. He'd want to try to meet with Larry.
Yeah, I think that would be a benefit, just like you like the hands-on in the water, you might like the hands-on with the documents too, and seeing the maps and seeing all that. That'd be cool.
I'll have to check
Okay.
that out now that I'm thinking about it. There is a 1798 property tax inventory or census. I'll have to see if the mill is mentioned on that.
Interesting
But
stuff.
there's definitely information out there that suggests that the mill predates Upton.
Lori, could I ask you to send the contact information with your friends over there at the Historical Society to Killian, so he knows who he's going to be trying to make contact with?
I did, I sent it to him, he's got it,
Okay,
right?
Oh,
very good.
was it from the email today? The email
Oh, yeah, it's on that email, yeah.
Okay,
Alright,
good.
thank you.
Very good. Okay, and the last item that we have on the agenda, and it wasn't really on the agenda, it's one of those unanticipated by the chairman, is I received a letter from the Department of Public Works, a notice to abutters that they're going to be replacing the sand at Kiwanis Beach.
whoa.
And Bill and I were half discussing that a little bit before the meeting. They're looking at trucking off the top 12-inch layer of sand. They're not expanding the beach. They're just replacing sand at the beach. And the question that I had, Bill, and I believe you had mentioned something before about replacing the stormwater holding retention pond, whatever you call that thing, at the
Well,
beach.
so
Would that be part of it?
There's the stormwater in that area all flows through a catch basin at the
Catch
corner
basin.
of the parking lot. And then it flows through a pipe and it lands on a small cement pad, which I assume is there to try to slow down the velocity of the water. And then it flows across the beach into Pratt Pond. So it's completely untreated. And so and we're gonna have this discussion when I meet with the Conservation Commission on Wednesday to talk about this project. The way I have been approaching it is that we're absolutely not going to touch any of basically the stormwater outflow area.
Okay.
Because I suspect that if we put more sand there, it'd end up in the pond. But maybe the people in the commission will tell me something else. And the other thing is it would have some impact on the general stormwater flow, but and that'd be another question about whether or not it would be negative.
And do you know the timeline of when they're looking at doing this?
The intent is to get it done before May, the end of May.
Oh, wow.
It's about a 3-day project.
This is done how often? Do you know?
The last time, so the beach sand has not been completely replaced as far as I can tell. I did have some conversations with John about it. He did say that from time to time he would bring in extra beach sand, but there's never been, as far as I know, there's never been a full replacement project, which means that most of the sand that's there, or a lot of it, whatever, dates back to probably 1950 or so when the Kiwanis organization created the beach.
Wow.
I remember growing up that every year a truckload of sand would get delivered to the beach. Nothing ever left. It would just get washed in. And it was very exciting at the time, but I agree that I believe that they should take some out in order to put new in. I'm a little concerned about that storm drain not being treated, and maybe down the road they can look into having some type of a catch-and-base treatment system there. I don't really know.
So I think in the 2019 or so, 2017, we did have an organization come in, and Geo something or other, but they did a analysis of a handful of our stormwater structures, and they had proposed a basin or a retention type area with vegetation and such.
Right.
Which I think is a great idea, but that's outside the scope of the sand replacement project.
Yeah, so that doesn't interfere with it. So doing sand replacement, like if they decide they want to replace that stormwater system with a better catch system with vegetation or whatever to absorb nutrients, or oil from cars or whatever, but that decision wouldn't be bothered by the decision to replace sand, though, right? They're very independent.
Yeah, so in my judgment, the outflow area is separate from the beach.
Yeah, okay.
So they would be separate projects, and they would have very little influence on each other.
Yeah, and
well, maybe they can put a protocol or procedure in place that the beach is clean, because we still have the huge geese problem that they're having on that sand, which is like.
Well, we are paying the Department of Agriculture $3,000 a year to deal with our goose problem.
really.
And what are they doing?
I have no idea. I just see the bills.
They're receiving the money.
So we should be asking, I think as Lakes and Ponds Committee, we should probably ask for a report from them to find out what they are doing.
Yeah, I think they're treating the eggs somehow.
It'll be good to know because we'll be asked.
I can, if they're treating the eggs, it's only quasi-effective because every year I see whole broods of, baby Canadas showing up and eating my lawn. So.
Yeah. So I do think, let's find out what they're doing and decide whether it's effective or not.
Okay.
That might be interesting.
Apparently it's very
to know
difficult
about
to
that.
completely control. So.
Yeah, the geese management is a whole research project in its own.
Yeah. And talking about the stormwater management, and we touched on this, before the meeting kicked off, the SNEP network, which deals with stormwater management. I think that's probably something that's definitely in their bailiwick. So things to look at. And you said it's the Department of Agriculture, Bill, that is helping with the goose management?
Yep.
Okay.
I think that ended up getting transferred to either the RecCom or, yeah, they were talking about transfer. It's currently in the town manager budget for whatever reason.
Okay.
But it's about $3,000.
I'll start making inquiries about that.
Just wonders was sometimes, and we talked about different systems of like, because the geese really move in at like 6 at night when the kids start moving and the sun starts going down a little bit. That's when the geese really start walking along the beach looking for any scraps they can find.
And early
it is
in the
like
morning before people show up.
Yeah, so it'd be wonderful if there was a way to just do like a rollout fence along there that discourages them from wanting to swim up to the shore because it's not that easy to get over to the sand. Um, it is pretty gross there. I mean, I've been there in the middle of the day and you can't even put a towel down or a blanket down or anything down without geese scats.
You should see my yard.
I can just imagine.
Yes,
It's
I'll
a
bet.
problem.
It is a real problem.
Yeah. They are
So
resident.
whatever they've been doing things to try to discourage poop there on the beach for years now, and it seems like it's not having much success. Would we have to conclude?
We need to get a dog.
Yeah,
I think
tried
we
that.
did that for a couple of years, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the dog thing would go home with the person, and that doesn't help for that evening or early morning. So.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Uh,
More
anybody
on
got
that later.
anything else?
Yes, what about the environmental science class and the water quality testing like we did last spring? I thought we were going to do it at the end of most years.
I have not heard from Lisa. I can't remember
Michael?
Lisa
Michael.
Michael. Thank you. Now, I have not heard from her yet, and I was contemplating that and trying to thinking about reaching out because I think we started was it April or May last year, Killian, the first time that you and Evan and
Luke. It
Luke,
was
thank you.
it was May, and I know she has like a bigger class this year. It's like 20 something people, but then a bunch of people leave for the internship, so it might be a smaller group.
And then remember the seniors were gone and there were only like 3 people left, right? So it's mostly seniors. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it was right at the tail end of the year. And that, again, it was a matter of logistics because with the 3 of the interns, I can only take one in the boat at a time. Both Sally, and you, Lori, have been out in the boat with me. I can only take one at a time out there. And when going all the way out to P1, it takes 5 minutes to get there. It gives you about 5 minutes to get a sample of something and 5 minutes back in order to, not take 2.5 hours to get a whole, through there. So that's the number of students would definitely have an impact on what we could accomplish. The closer spot would be P2, which is right off the ramp. It's 50 feet off the ramp. So that would make it quicker. But again, you're still, it's still limited on what science you could gather with the kids.
Well, if you need like say like you need an hour longer or like an hour and a half, you could always turn it into a field trip or like of some sort, so then they could still you could still learn as much as possible if you had like a slightly larger group. You can add like an hour and a half to it.
Or is there a long block one day of the week you were saying for each class?
Yeah, every week there's usually, it's like almost every week we have a long block for each class, and that's an hour and 20 minutes a full class time.
And again, when Lisa was bringing the boys out last year, it was during the long block because there's the logistics of getting them from the school to the launch ramp and then, getting them out there and then getting them back within the time constraints. So Killian's idea of making it more of a field trip kind of exercise, that has merit.
That's a real good idea. Sally, what did you used to do? Because you used to take groups of kids out on, like the
Wildwood.
Yeah.
Wildwood. It's escaping me right now. Wildwood, yes.
And they
How
took
did you
over- they-
manage? Did you have a
well,
bigger
with the
boat?
rowboat works best for sampling, and Wildwood is not a lot to go. If you're going around the island, you can go pretty far on a rowboat. But there's also some of the kids could take out the canoe. There's canoe also, but the rowboat seems to be the most stable thing to take out, and kids like to row, so they
And
go
you
around
can
in
get more
circles at
people in it.
first until afterwards.
You can have 4 people in a rowboat?
Yeah, you
4 or
can.
5?
So, and then it's stable, right? If you put a canoe or kayak, they're going to end up getting soaking wet. So, and lose all your samples. So, I
Right.
highly recommend rowboats. And
Which we
they're
don't
not
have.
afraid of getting a little exercise and rowing a little bit. It's kind of fun.
I wonder if the camp has a rowboat.
The only thing I've ever seen over there is canoes and kayaks.
Kayaks, yeah.
No, that's where the boat like I have is
Yeah.
it's a nice stable platform.
Yeah.
The electric
Exactly.
motor is quicker than rowing, but it's a lot less work. But it's again, time is really the limiting factor.
I don't know
Yeah.
what Fin and Feather has. Do they have rowboats?
Yes,
Because there's, the blow up rowboats too are pretty popular for events. I haven't used one, but I've heard they're pretty stable and pretty good. So I think if you were going to try to do a large group and you had like one adult for every rowboat and several kids, 3 kids or something in there or whatever, you could get a few kids in different rowboats and they could go to different, if you want to go to several different sites, each boat could go to a different site and collect their samples, and then you could come bring them back and share with one another.
that's an option. All good
It'd be kind
ideas.
of fun. And by that time, I don't know if we'd be doing much algae testing or anything, but just doing what you do with your dissolved oxygen and pH and collect the samples that are going to be turned in too. So I mean, that could be a pretty fun little event for the kids.
And I remember you went into the classroom and talked, and I think you talked to them
Yes.
about this algae protocol would be interesting.
Yes.
I also think it could help. Like that's part of the reason why I chose to do the internship was like getting the actual experience of it first. So I think it could push some of the juniors to do it possibly.
Oh, yeah. So it could be like a little selling point, right? But to get somebody interested in doing it in the following year. So I think we could start by checking in with Fin and Feather. They might even do it as a donation or something, right? And if we do it around not their busy times, and will be a weekday anyway, and coordinate with what they have and get a date.
Yep.
I'd be
And-
happy to help if I can get coverage and stuff. So that's fine.
Okay. And just to give you fair warning, Killian, you may have just obligated yourself to giving a presentation to Ms. Michaels' class on your experience as tied in with your end of year project for Ms. Bennett.
And we know you're gonna
Okay.
have to make good slides.
But if you only have a couple hours, I mean, that's probably perfect for a couple hours if you prearrange it. So each team went out to a different site, right?
Mhm.
You get there, do an introduction, a pre-introduction, they go off to their sites and collect. And
Would we do Mill Pond then instead of Pratt?
Mill is difficult to get into. Pratt and Wildwood are probably the 2 easiest to get into. And we do have the 4 different sites that we sample in Pratt, and we have 5 in Wildwood.
yeah.
So there's
So we would have to
options
get the
either way.
blow-up ones. But we'd have to get the blow-up boats because we don't have a way to move the rowboat, do we?
Well, we got the
Uh,
one rowboat that we could borrow from Touchstone that's at their landing. And then we'd have to find out how many other rowboats we could get. And Fin and Feather would have to deliver them. So
Mhm.
I think this, or I'm just using Fin and Feather as an example because they're in
and
the
pick them
town.
up.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I know Jeff rents all sorts of boats. He's got about 4 different John boat type things sitting over the fence that I don't think have seen the water in years. So
Yeah.
it's something we would have to ask him about.
Yeah.
Okay, we have reached our time. Is there anything else that we haven't discussed or that we want to put on the agenda for next month?
Could I just ask,
continue
Elaine,
discussion?
is there anything you need from us to get your project done?
I don't think so as of right now.
Okay,
Not
great.
anything I can
If there
think of.
is, just give a holler.
All right.
Okay, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
aye.